Again, welcome to the webinar on how to win with Google service ads. It will probably take about 45 minutes to do this presentation. Like I said, a quick point of clarification, just so you don't get confused. Citadel Hardscape Marketing is a marketing company that is specifically focused on hardscape contractors. There are a lot of the folks who are going to see this. At the same time, I have Polaris Marketing Solutions, which is more broad in nature, and so what I've done is I've invited a number of my BNI counterparts to be here as well. And obviously, what we're going to go over in local service ads, you guys can apply to your specific business segment. There's not a problem with that. I'll try to, as we get into the details, if there's any differences, I'll try to point those out so that you might know those. But this is a hardscape contracting group. But I welcome you guys to the presentation. I look forward to talking to you guys as we kind of go through this. Okay, so as we go through this, there's kind of an accelerated growth model that we have that we've been using, and really, driving leads is an important part of that, not only through organic and SEO kind of work, but paid ads are really important as it relates to growing your business. And as you look at the big 9 steps to kind of double your business, paid ads are an important part of that. With that comes, understanding what your cost per lead is. We're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like and how that's different from some of the other platforms that are out there, like Google Ads, which is a different platform than Google Local Service Ads. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But at the end of the day, it's really important that you understand what your return investment is on these ads and any of the other stuff that you do from a marketing perspective, just so you can understand what's working for you and what's not working, and comparing results and return on investment so that you can continue to grow your business. Again, as we look at all the digital marketing things that you can employ, certainly, SEO and your email marketing and all these other kind of things are really important. And so, but what we're talking about today is really the pay per lead, which is, again, different from pay per click. And I'm going to go over the difference between that in just a second. But this is one of the many things that you can be employing in your business to try to grow your business. Retargeting, which would be, going after those people that have come to your website but haven't engaged. You can capture through pixels, you can capture their information and then begin to market to them. Social media is another thing, and just repeat and referrals and all those other kind of things are all parts that can help you grow your business. But again, today we're just talking about pay per lead. And so in order to kind of, have the attention that you need, just turn off your cell phones or your Facebook. If you're a hardscape business owner, you're going to need to be really serious about understanding how this could be one of the effective things that you can do for your business over the next year or two. Because right now, and there's a life cycle involved with any platform, but right now for at least hardscape marketing folks, this is a good return on your investment. There are some businesses like roofing that when things first start with local service ads, the return on investment is really, really good. As more and more people get into the platform, the return on investment gets a little bit less as you go along. And so right now for hardscape contractors, that ROI is pretty solid. And so again, I know a number of you guys have different types of businesses, and so you'll just have to understand what those returns are as you move forward. But this will be a good use of your time. Well, here's what we're going to cover today is, what is a Google local service ad? Where is it work? Where is it active? It's not, although local service ads are throughout the United States, there are different pockets that cover different business types depending on where you're located. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how it works, how you can jump on board if you haven't already done that, what it takes to rank in the top 3, which is really, when you look at a return for a local service ad, they really show just the top 3. And so you'll want to be in the top 3. And then how you can take advantage of the high quality leads that you're getting from there from a cost per lead standpoint to make sure your ROI is what it should be. And so let me kind of go through what that looks like. And so, this is my least favorite slide out of everything, but I kind of need to have to go through this. Who am I and why should you care what I think? I did author a book, Cementing Success, How to Double Your Sales by Unlocking the Power of Your Internet Marketing. If you ever want a copy of that book, it's on Amazon. You can get it, and it goes through everything that we're talking about today. It'll go through how to build a website that can rank. There's a lot of material that are in there. I know some of the guys, people on this call actually have the book already, so that's good. I've been a successful owner of Allied Roof Cleaning, which was a roof cleaning and sealing business. I sold it in 2021. I think I owned it for about 7 years. We doubled every year, which was important, and certainly marketing played an important part in doing that. I'm now the CEO and the owner of Polaris Marketing Solutions, which is a home service focused marketing company. And now I'm also the owner of Citadel Hardscape Marketing, which is focused really on the hardscape business. I'm a member of the Concrete, Masonry, and Hardscape Association. I'm widely accepted as an expert in this. I speak on it, and I've got businesses here in Florida that we do really, really well on. So that's kind of who I am and kind of what we've done before. And so here is kind of what a Google local service ad looks like. And I'm going to show you some specifics here in a sec. But the ads themselves sit on top of any of the other returns that you get. So if you did a return, I'm going to show a more specific one here in a second. All right, so this is a search that we did for retaining wall contractor in Fort Myers. What you see here in the first return on the top of the return, again, you see Google guaranteed. Now, Google local service ads will say one of two things, either screened or Google guaranteed, one of the two, depending on what the business is. And so in this case, there's two businesses that are showing here. Sometimes they show three. If you're a lawyer, I think they show three. And so you see two of them here, and then you'll see, and it sits on top of, it's the first ones that you see. Down here where it says sponsored, these are Google ads or Google AdWords. The difference between the two is this, and it's an important one to understand. A Google ads is a pay-per-click. So when I press on this, this is a professional retaining wall. This, here's the name of this company is Tremont, is the name of the company. So if I press on this, now this is called an impression. The fact that I can even see it, here's an impression as well. So if I press on this, I'm going to click it. Once I click on that, the company, in this case, Southwest Florida Hardscape, is going to be charged for my lead. Now, they will have bid on this keyword up in the top. They bid on the keyword retaining wall Fort Myers. And so they may have paid, in this case, maybe $5 for that keyword. And they bid on it, and now their ad shows up. This is what this is. This is an ad, and it contains a lot of information, a lot of keywords. And so when I press on this, they're going to get charged $5, whatever it is. And I'm going to go to their either a landing page or their website. In this case, I'm going to their website. And now it's up to their website to convert me. So here I am on their website. It's still not a lead. I've just gone to their website. And so they want me to, to basically go either call them or fill out a form. Here's their call today is here. And so they don't get a lead from me until I engage with them in some way, either fill out a form or call them direct. And what happens is about 5 to 10% of the people that press on that ad that they get charged for will actually result in somebody that either calls them or fills out a form. Does that make sense? And so if you go back to this and say, okay, this is a pay-per-click, they're going to get charged right away, and then I'm going to go to their website, and then they've got to, get me to convert. The difference is up here on the Google local service ads, the only way to engage with them is to do one of two things, either to message them or to get a phone call. So when I press either one of them, I'm not going to their website. I'm either going to phone call them or message them, and it's a direct lead. And so what's nice about this, so if my website is not that good, and so, it probably wouldn't convert well, going to an option where it automatically becomes a lead with a phone call or a message gets around the whole going to your website and having your website to convert them. And so the cost per lead here is a little bit higher, but the quality of the leads are so much better. And so this is an opportunity for you to get good leads because you're getting leads. You're just not getting visitors to your website. So I hope that makes sense. All right, so I just went over kind of, the sequence of events is that on top is where your Google local service are going to be. They're going to sit on top of your Google ads. And again, they're either going to say screened or they're going to say guaranteed. And with that becomes, obviously, if Google's going to put those monitors on there, either screened or guaranteed, there's an extra level of understanding or information that you need to provide to Google for them to be able to feel comfortable saying you're screened or you're guaranteed. And we'll get into that in a second, but there is another level of application that you're going to have to go through in order to qualify for these leads. So, all right, so why does this matter? Why, as far as local service ads? 87% of customers, when they search Google, are looking for home service providers like this. And so, if you know, I've bought home services before. I've Googled. I've gone to their website. I've done this kind of work. You know, this works, and Google local service ads work. It's the number one place your customers are looking for when they try to buy services. Local service ads do sit on top first of any return that you get, and people are lazy, and you know it's on the top, so they have a tendency to go ahead and click it. And the other thing is it says Google guaranteed or Google screen, so there's an extra level of comfort that people have in choosing local service ads because of that. Okay, and then there's also a higher level of intent, and so you really need to, you know, put this into your equation when you're coming up with your marketing strategy for your business. Okay, so here is a list. I know it's a very fine list. You can look at it in more details, but there are a ton of categories, and they get added to on a regular basis. I mean, if I would have given you a list of these a year ago, it would have probably been half of these. And so you'll need to be able to kind of look through these. And the interesting thing is not all categories are here. I think flooring might be here. I see flooring services up on the top. So that's one. There's probably one for water here, or in some cases, your specific business may not be listed on here. It may be a subcategory for one of these larger categories. As an example, hardscape contractors, this is a good one because hardscape, which would include things like cement, retaining walls, sideways, driveways, all that kind of stuff, is under landscaping services. And so, as an example here, this is landscaping. And you'll see on here, there's a whole bunch of subcategories in landscaping, you know, from retaining walls to masonry to landscaping to a whole bunch of other things. And what you can do is once you pick the category, one of the things that you're going to do is identify which subcategories that you want to participate in. You don't have to do all of these. You can pick which ones you want to participate in and which ones you don't want to do. So, you know, again, if you don't see yours in the big headings, it's probably because it may reside somewhere else, and we can figure that out. If you want to give us a phone call, we can kind of work through that. And so this is for landscape, and I know we've got some other folks on here that have other things. As an example, roofing has their own category. Now, within roofing, there's a number of subcategories. Some of these you might want to participate in, as I said, and some of these you may not want to participate. So there's one in here for gutters. There could be one here for attic venting and a bunch of other ones that you may or may not want to do. So again, what you do when you sign up for it is you'll identify which subcategories you want to participate in and which ones you don't want to participate in. Here's an example of one that for an HVAC company that I deal with. You know, they're in Cape Coral. We've gone through the list, and they said, you know, as an example, you know, during the summer months, they don't want to do any type of ductwork in the attic because it's so stinking hot. So during the summer, we turn off ductwork during the summer, but yet in the winter, they're more than happy to do it because people don't need air conditioning, and so they're looking for stuff to do, and so we turn on ductwork. And so you can have strategies for which ones you engage when and where, depending on kind of what your seasonality is, or just what your business model is. Okay, so where are local service ads active? They're active across the country. However, every state is a bit different. So we have people on here from different states. Your categories may be different. Your subcategories may be different as well. And so one of the things that you'll do when you sign up for local service ads, you'll identify the location, the state, and that state will then kind of dictate, you know, which subcategories and categories that you'll have. So Google local service ads is a nationwide thing, but as far as the specifics, it may vary from state to state depending on your category and your subcategory. So just kind of be aware of that. Okay, so, you know, how does it impact your search? So again, this is a typical search. Again, up on the top, you'll see your local service ad. They're the first on the return. The second part are the Google AdWords that we talked about before. They're the pay for per click thing. And they're in the second part of it. They say sponsored on them. The third part of a return is a local tri-pack. Typically, there's a map there, and then there's three businesses that are listed. It's called the tri-pack or your Google My Business section. That's where that plays in. Your Google My Business plays into that piece of the return. And then anything under the tri-pack is your organic one. In other words, any company can be in there. Doesn't have to be local or not. Anybody can be there depending on how well they rank based upon all the criteria that Google could come up with. So I've seen people, when I had my company and Google local service ads weren't around. So I did Google AdWords. I was in the tri-pack and I ranked really well locally. So if you could see me in three places, that was a really good thing. Now you can be in a fourth place. Now you could actually be in local service ads. So, that's how it breaks out as far as a search return goes. And that's how it, from Google local service ads to Google ads to local service or the Google local business, and then the organic listing. So how local service ads work. You must complete a local service application. In that application is going to ask you not a bunch of information, but a fair amount of information about your business. Because again, think about what they're doing. They're going to guarantee your business, and they're also going to kind of vet your business or screen your business. So they're going to need some information. And we'll go through what that looks like here in a second. But you're going to have to provide information like your license. So if your business category requires a license, like roofing as an example, any roofing contractor needs a roofing license. So naturally, one of the things that they're going to look at is, do you have a legitimate license for roofing? You're also going to have to provide insurance, insurance certificate. You're going to have to provide that. You're going to need to be able to do a background check on some key employees. This says, when you read the information, it'll say you need to do background checks on a number of different employees. It kind of really depends on the size of the organization. Usually one or two key employees is fine. And so you can go ahead and do a background check. And then the other thing that you're going to need in order to qualify, you're going to need good reviews. If you have very few reviews, it's going to be difficult for you to qualify for this because they're guaranteeing or they're screening you, and they want to make sure that you're a good, solid business. And so you're going to need to obviously have good number of reviews with good responses. And, if you're, a 3.8 star, review person with Google My Business, you're probably not going to qualify for this. So just kind of be aware of that. So again, business owners and technicians, you'll have to do background checks. Once approved, if active in your area, you're gonna do very well. Your cost per lead, again, depending on what you're doing. In hardscape, it's going to be anywhere from 25 to 50 bucks per lead. Again, in hardscape, your average deal size could be, 4 to 6,000 bucks. For flooring, it may be the same. For different businesses, it kind of depends. The higher your ticket price, as an example with roofing, the average cost per lead for local service ads could be as high as, $75 to $100. Just because of the size of the average size of the deal there is, anywhere from 15 to 30,000 bucks for some of those deals. And so because of that, they get bid up by the people participating, and that's why the cost per lead goes up. So it kind of depends upon each business category. But, for hardscape, it's anywhere from 20 to 50 bucks per lead. Flooring may be a little bit more to that because of the average cost per deal. But there is some variability based upon, every state and every city. But that's kind of how it works. Okay, I'm going to jump out of here real quick just to show you kind of how to set up a Google My Local Service ads and what that looks like. So let me go into that real quick. When you set up your business, they're going to ask for a bunch of information. And so what's going to happen is your billing information will be done pretty quickly. Again, if you have a license that needs to be updated, there'll be a line here for that. Your proof of insurance, you'll need to update that. That's done pretty quickly. The longest pole in the tent with respect to the verification process is going to be your background checks. So make sure that you're able to kind of go through that. There's a process that it walks you through pretty easily. But your background check is going to be probably the longest pole in the tent. And that could take a week or 10 days, somewhere in that area, to get that done. Your business profile, they'll go ahead and verify that your GMB is there and that your reviews are high enough and good enough to qualify for it. but you'll see this improve as soon as you input your stuff. It'll say pending, and if you just check it every day, you'll see that some of these things get checked off and get done, and you'll see green checks marks like this that go through it. And then as you go through it, what will happen is this. I'm just going to go through how some of these different things work. Okay, so you're going to get leads like this. And this will show up. Here's one that they just got today in Marco Island. And so what's cool about these leads is it'll come to you in an email that will look kind of like this. It'll show you the name of the person or the phone number that came in, that it's still an active lead, kind of where it's at, under what category it's there. And then you have the ability to sit here and listen to the call itself. And so if for some reason your secretary did it, or maybe they had to leave a message, you can listen to the message that they left here. And so you'll get all the information in your email that you could check out right away. And this is where you're gonna mark that you booked. So let's say the customer called, I spoke to them, we had a good conversation. I booked, like Colin likes to go out and visit his customers, and I talk to the customer and we go ahead and book a meeting. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hit this marked, it's marked booked, and it's going to tell Google, I've booked an appointment with these. And then when you're done with this and you completed the job, you'll have another screen up here that will allow you to say it's now completed. The key thing with Google local service ads is you've got to tell Google what's working and what isn't working. And so as an example, if this was a good call for me and I booked it and then I completed it, I'm telling Google that that was a good call, and so they're going to give me more of those. If you don't tell Google that you booked it or that you completed it, and you just say it's still in the archives and they don't know, what's going to happen is Google's going to reduce the number of leads that it's going to give you, because it doesn't know what worked, because it sent you stuff and you've not told it, given any feedback back. And as a result of that, your leads are going to go down, and this is not going to be a good investment for you. So there's a part on your side that you're going to need to manage this in order to tell Google where it's at in the process, whether it was booked or completed. And maybe you didn't get it, maybe it was a legitimate lead, but you just couldn't get in to book an appointment. It'll just go into what they call the archive. So it's either going to be booked or it's going to be archived. And that tells Google, okay, that was a good lead, but they just didn't close it. And then you kind of move on. And so as you can see here, they've got a bunch of stuff that they've been charged for. And they also have things that they have not been charged for. And we're going to go over this in a second. The other good thing about Google local service ads are that you can dispute a lead if it's not legitimate. And I'll go through in a minute what criteria would constitute being an ad or a customer that would be disputed, but they'll give you back your money, which is great, because with Google pay-per-click, that doesn't happen. With this, it does. So if it's not a legitimate lead, if it doesn't meet the criteria, you can go ahead and identify it as a disputed lead, and they will look at it and then hopefully credit you back your money. In this case, they have $175 in credit that's going back onto their credit card. So again, the key thing for this is you've got to manage and tell Google what you're doing and how it's working, so that they continuously give you more leads. All right, some other things I'm going to show you while we're here. The business profile. So you're going to want to set this up when you do it. And so in this case, all your information, your website, information here, your budget. We're going to talk about budget here in a second. Job type. So this is the turning on and off of the subcategories. In this case, he doesn't do window cleaning, he doesn't do gutter cleaning. He's turned all of these off with the exception of power washing and roof cleaning. Those are the only two that he has on, and those are the only two he wants. And so, again, it's important to go ahead and identify which subcategories you want to play in. Photos are really, really important when it comes to Google local service ads. They want to see refreshed photos of the work that you're doing. The only caveat is the pictures can't contain a phone number. So as an example here, I think there was a photo here of where did I see the? Okay, see the phone number? It kind of got blurred out here. They don't want you to have, for whatever reason, they don't want phone numbers or numbers in the picture. So any picture other than a phone number is fine. You got a lot of before and after pictures that you can do. Pictures of your guys installing equipment, all that kind of stuff is fine. Those help your ranking by putting in and optimizing your Google local service ad. So you'll want to go ahead and do this. In this case, the customer has said, I want to be notified by email and by text message anytime I get a lead because I don't want to miss it. And so they actually have that. They have the ability to do that. Your business hours are really important. So for those businesses that are 24 hours a day, for some of the folks on here, like they're trying to think of one, like plumbing might be a 24-hour a day where it's really important because if your pipes break during the during the evening, you might need emergency coverage, right? So if you're a 24-hour guy and you're actually going to answer the phone, because responsiveness is really one of the key criteria that they look at. So if your calls are going to an answering service or a voicemail, that's not a good thing. You need to be answering your phone because they really monitor that. They want to give business to the people who are answering their phones. So if it's going to a voicemail, that's not a good thing. And so for 24 hours a day, we tell people that's great as long as you're going to answer the phone. But if all your late night stuff is going to go to a voicemail, that's going to hurt you. And so just be aware of that. The other thing for service area is you want to identify what your service area is, and you don't want to overlap. So as an example, if my service area, I say I want Lee County and I want Fort Myers, well, that's an overlap because Fort Myers is in Lee County. I covered Fort Myers when I say Lee County. So it's important that you don't cross over coverage. If you're going to go with cities, go with cities. Don't go with cities and then counties because there's going to be a crossover and it's going to hurt your ranking because it's going to confuse the algorithms. Likewise, if you're going to stay with zip codes, maybe there's in zip codes, Fort Myers is a decent size. There's tons of different zip codes, and some zip codes you may want, and some zip codes you may not want. And so if you do them by zip code, that's fine. But just stick with one of those, whether it's zip codes, whether it's city names, whether it's county names, just stay consistent and don't overlap. That's going to be an important part there. Okay, so that's that one. The other one I want to just put your attention to would be reviews. So reviews are very important, and my customers typically know that. So when you get a bunch of reviews or when you do a bunch of jobs and there's still those people haven't given you a review, what will happen is there will be a little box right here of people who have not given reviews. So what I would do is press the button that has non-reviewed customers, and you can actually ask for a review. When you go to that button, all you do is press the button that says, send a review, and it will send a review from this platform to that customer. And what the data has shown is if you send reviews from this platform and get them in this platform, they're slightly more valuable than a typical Google review. So again, if you're doing your work here and if you're getting jobs done, if you can send the review request out through this and get it into this, it's slightly more valuable than a normal Google review, and that's something you might want to do. And so when you finish and you say, okay, I booked the business and then I completed the business, when you do that, that's a second way that it will ask you, do you want to send a review out? You would hit yes, you put the email in there and you get it done. So there's a couple different ways that you can request reviews in the platform itself that will help you in your ranking criteria. The last thing I want to show you here, I guess, would be reports. So this is a customer for the past 30 days. They've gotten 22 leads, 18 phone calls, 4 messages. And so this is a good way to kind of check how they're doing. 99% of the time they're showing up in one of the 2 or 3 that show up. 25% they're the top one or the first one. And you can manage this by your bidding strategy. And so we'll talk a little bit about bidding strategy here right now. So as far as your profile and your budget goes, so this customer is spending about $1,000 a month on local service ads. Right now, his weekly budget is $1,000, but he's not spending $1,000 because he's just not getting that many that he's spending $1,000. So it's important to be able to monitor how many leads you're getting and what you're spending. Like I said, I just showed you that he's gotten 22 leads in the last 30 days and he's spent $1,000, and I've got $1,000 spend there budget. Doesn't mean that you're going to spend it, but he's got it budgeted for it, and he's willing to do that. And so if you want to raise your weekly budget, just keep an eye on what you're spending per month, because a lot of times your weekly budget you're not going to spend. And so you can raise your weekly budget to make it to where you're getting more leads, but you're still not coming anywhere close to that overall number, which is the important number. So, monitoring your weekly and monthly budgets is really important when it comes to Google local service ads. So again, local service ad, how it works, you're going to set a budget. You're going to set a budget either you can have Google recommend some things, or you can set a manual budget for each month or week. Anything you want to do there. Okay, how are you charged for local service ads? You set a weekly budget. We just went through that. Total number of leads per month is given an estimated amount, and so you'll come up with a cost per lead. It might be for $2,000 per month, $500 per week, $71 per day. Just take a look at what you're spending. That's the important thing, is look at your budget and then look at what you're spending per month, and you can tweak them to be able to manage your budget really well. You may get a different number of leads from day to day, but just know you're not going to spend more than whatever your monthly budget's going to be. And you have the ability to immediately dispute leads that you receive that are not valid. And so now we're going to talk over what leads don't count. Any type of solicitation that you get. A lot of you guys get solicitations or spam emails or spam phone calls, locations that are not served. I just saw a customer get one from Orlando, really kind of a weird thing. And so he disputed that because that's not in their service area. That rarely happens because we've clearly identified, but sometimes one or two of those kind of slip in. And so that's why the category is there. And for some reason, that service is not offered, where, hey, they called up, they pressed the button for a certain thing, but they actually called to ask about something else, and it's not something that you provide. You can go ahead and use that as a way to dispute it. So there are a number of different categories as far as how you would dispute it, and Google's pretty good about that. If it's a legitimate lead and you just missed it, or you couldn't convert them, that's just your fault. But if it's a good lead, make sure that you're telling Google that, because again, you want those. So feedback from active users that I have that use this, they find that there's a lower cost per lead than your Google AdWords, which is a pay-per-click. We talked about that earlier. Higher quality leads than Home Advisor. Some of you guys use Home Advisor, and this is a better lead quality than what we've seen there typically. Since some of these price shoppers have to follow up quickly, I mean, you guys typically, because this is going directly to you guys, there's not a lot of hang-ups, there's not a lot of leaving messages, and so that's a good thing. And so most folks have a pretty good ROI when it comes to using Google local service ads. Why this is a no-brainer. Again, it shows up on the top of the results, so people are looking at that. People have a tendency to kind of be lazy, and so they don't go further than they need to go to. And if they see that you're Google guaranteed or Google screen, they have a tendency to trust that, and they go with that. Again, you're only paying for paid per leads. You're not paying for clicks, which is different. So that's a good thing. There's a lower cost than your typical PPC kind of stuff, higher quality leads, and the ability to modify your budget based on your schedule. You can turn this on and off whenever you want. Like I said in my example, I have HVAC companies and roofing companies that do different things at different times of the year. And so this is one of those things that you can turn on and off whenever you want to. All right, so how do I get set up? We went through a lot of this stuff, but just so I want to make sure it's really clear, we'll be happy to help you. I'll show you the pricing schedule for us doing it, but you can, I don't want to say easily do this, but you can do this. We do handle a number of customers, local service ads, and we work very closely with them to make sure that things are going on. But if you want to do it on yourself, you can, or if you want us to do it, we could do it as well. Again, this is the first screen that you typically see. This is the where you would go in order to set up. It's AdWords, local service ads, sign up. If you just Google, the words Google local service ads, it will bring you to the screen that says start here. You press the button, it'll take you to this screen, and then you'll start to, provide your information that you're going to do. So how does it work? How does the ranking work as far as who shows up and when they show up? So your proximity to potential customer location is one of the criteria. So the closer they are to you, the more likely you are to get that lead. Your review score and the number of reviews you receive is really, really important in this on this platform. So that's key. And your responsiveness to the customer inquiry and request, which means, are you answering the phone calls? Are you following up with the leads? Are you telling Google it's been booked and completed? If you're doing that quickly, that's a good thing. And so your response, that's called your responsiveness. And so you want to make sure that you're being responsive when you're on this platform. Your business hours make a difference. So again, for those people that have 24-hour business, you're more likely to get more business because there's less people that do 24 hours. Whether or not you've received serious or repeated complaints. So managing your reputation is a key thing here as well. Most of you guys on this call that I'm aware of have really good reputations, and that's a good thing. And so in addition to these ranking factors, Google will attempt to spread out the leads you receive over time. So, they're not going to spend your whole budget the first week and then you'll have to be quiet the rest of the month. They're going to try to spread it out. That's what they do. And so you can easily, depending on how quickly during the week you hit, they're going to try to spread that out over the week and out over the month. So just know that. So how to win at local service ads, dial in your service area, make sure your profile is up to date, manage your budget. And that's some of the things that we help you with on your profile with your budget and your service area, all that kind of stuff. You got to mark your jobs as booked and completed. You got to do that. You have to deal with disputes. So if it's a dispute, if it's not a legitimate one, dispute it. Drive for verified reviews. We've talked about it. If you can ask for and get reviews on this platform, they're slightly better than your normal Google review, and those will help you moving forward. And then target about an 85% book rate. That means out of the customers that you get phone calls with, if you can be booking 85% of those, remember, Google's all about, satisfying customers. And so if you've got somebody that's got an 85% booking rate and somebody's got a 35% booking rate, the guy who's got 85% is going to get more leads. And so whether you have to improve your sales process or whatever, you need to make sure that you're able to close good, legitimate leads on a solid basis of about 85%. That's a good thing. And so if you can do that, that's how you're going to win it with Google local service ads. Okay, so dialing in your profile, how do you do that? We talked about that. Set your budget, open it up if you have the capacity to do that. Just because you have a high weekly budget doesn't mean you're necessarily going to spend that. Just be aware of that. Update your ad schedule on that. Set up your bio that has all of your information. Select the jobs that you want. We talked about those buttons that you're going to press and turn off depending on what you want to participate in. Set up your service area. Make sure you're not overlapping. Get as specific as you need to, whether it's zip codes, city names, county names, whatever you want to do there. And then update your business hours. And the other thing that we talked about earlier is your photos. Make sure you're adding photos to your platform. Don't have pictures of phone numbers, but add the photos. That will help you as well. Okay, second thing, I've kind of harped on this already, but mark your jobs as booked. Google will rate your response by how well you complete your jobs. Mark them as booked or scheduled and completed. Add the customer details, include email addresses, that kind of stuff that will help you when it comes to sending reviews out. And then archive the ones that have not converted. Just put them in the archive folder and clean out your stuff. Make sure it's all up to date. Number 3, dealing with disputes. We've talked about all the areas of disputes. It's a pretty easy thing to do. You're not charged for disputes for qualified leads outside your area, all the other kind of criteria we talked about before. If it's a legitimate lead, you just lost it, just admit it and move on. If you question too many of them and they look like they're legitimate and you're saying for whatever reason they aren't, and you confuse Google, you're going to see your numbers go down specifically. If it meets those criteria that we talked about before, as not a service you do, out of your area, all the kind of stuff, then go ahead and hit that, and they're more than happy to give you your money back, which is an easy thing to do. And typically you get your money back within a week. Drive verified reviews. So we've talked about that. The number of reviews is a major driver that you have, and a lot of you guys have a large number of reviews, which is really good. Provide great service. Always do that. If they can, in their reviews, put keywords in there about the service that you did. So if you're doing flooring and they talked about vinyl flooring or installation of carpet or tile or whatever that stuff, the more specific they can be with keywords, the more helpful that is for your review. So if you want to, when you're with somebody and say, hey, can you do me a review, and just make sure you mention that you got vinyl flooring today or Cortex or whatever, that kind of stuff. that's helpful because that just gives more weight to that review because it's more specific. That would versus, a 5-star review that says nothing, right? And so provide great service, leverage the dashboard to drive verified reviews. We talked about that. And you can easily just press the button and say request reviews for any of the ones that you get that you completed. It's a pretty easy process to go through. And this is kind of what they look like inside the portal itself. You guys have seen them before. And the other thing is you want to make sure you respond to reviews. When someone gives you a great review, make sure you respond quickly. The worst thing you can do is get great reviews and take either forever or not respond at all. Google will actually downgrade you for those. So you want to make sure as soon as you get reviews, you thank people for them. That's the best way to do it. That's the best practice. Okay, the last piece that we talked about, target 85% booking rate. That's going to be key. And you can keep track, they keep track of your booking rate for you, but you can keep track of it yourself. And that's really out of the number of leads that you have, how many have you actually legitimate leads, how many have you booked? And that's going to be an important criteria into feeding your reviews. Okay, how to increase lead flow from local services. Open your budget. We talked about that. Expand your service area. If you're in doing local service ads and you want more, this is what you can do. Expand your service area or your job types, expand the types of jobs that you do, close out every lead or book thing, and request verified reviews. That's how you get more on this platform. Okay, so if you need help, we're more than happy to help you. It's one of the more simple platforms that are out there, but at times people need help. And we manage a lot of folks' local service ads. We do this all the time. Here's our fee structure. It's about $4.99 for those ones that we per month, for those that are up to 75 phone calls or leads. Yeah, phone calls per month. And then it goes up as time goes on. And so if that's something that you need some help on, be happy to do it. If you want to do this on your own, you're more than willing to do that as well. If you're interested, there is a link here that will bring you to, and we'll share this in the chat if you would, Jamal. That would be great. It's kind of I don't want to say it's a form, but basically it's an interest form that talks about local service ads. Again, educates you a little bit more on some of the steps here, what it looks like, and then if you're interested in us doing it, our pricing is here as well. Then what you're going to do is go ahead and click this, and you'll be taken to our calendar to go ahead and book a link. We'll book a time to get together. We'll go through this. If you're interested in having us do it, we'll be happy to go ahead and help you do that. That's not a problem at all. And so we'll just go from there. And so I think let's go back, stop sharing here. Local service ads management, again, will help out anything we have there. There's a QR code that will take you to the same form that I just showed you. Be happy to help. And so again, this is, and here's our phone number as well. And so this is, again, one of the more important levers that you guys have. If your category has local service ads, you kind of want to take a look at that, especially if your website is underperforming. The nice thing about local service ads is it doesn't take people to your website that's underperforming. It's an immediate and direct ad or direct lead, which can really help you. For those that want to kind of jumpstart your business, this is a way to kind of do that. And so, I always advocate, when we looked at the wheel at the beginning of this program, you can do SEO, you can do email marketing, you can do a ton of things to really drive sales. This is one of the more important tools that you can have. I like it a little bit more than Google Ads for some categories of business. And so it really kind of depends upon what your business is, but it's an important tool to have. So with that said, I think we've gone over most of the material. If you've got questions, I don't know, Jamal, are there any questions that we should answer here?
Yeah, there was one question by Easy, and it was related to the bidding strategy. So
Yep.
there was one selected, and she asked which one is the best one to use. Is it maximize leads or set max per lead?
I think she was talking about this. Let Google set the right recommended ad here. I would say if you're not familiar with how this works, I would say go ahead and let Google set the budget, do the recommended here out of the gate. And then as you begin to get familiarity with the program, then you can start taking the bidding on by yourself. You can do it weekly. You can see what types of adjustments you can make and how that impacts the number of leads that you get. So out of the gate, I would say, let Google do it. And if you want to go with the manual set for max bid, and again, they're not going to automatically take it up to the top. What they're saying is they will bid it for you in a way that, there is going to be a max bid that you're not going to go over. In this case, they set it at $22. You can do that. But I would typically go and say, let Google recommend, let's see what I'm going to pay for a cost per lead and see where you go from there. So again, recommend letting Google set it and then adjusting as you get more familiar with it. All right, Jamal, any other questions?
Yeah, I have one question. It's related to, let's say, like, how is it different from using GMB or doing it in the tool itself?
As far as reviews go or what?
No, the whole thing, local service ads. How is it different between GMB and doing it in the tool?
Okay, so Google GMB is Google My Business. That's your placard that you have for your business. And let me kind of show you a little bit, I think, about what he's talking about. So, kind of see flooring. Okay. So I think what he asked was, okay, so Google my business is this. So if I'm looking for his business or I'm looking for a business, I might find his GMB. I may not find his GMB. So from this location, somebody can actually just call your business. It's right here, right? And in fact, that's part of, when you rank your business and your SEO is working really well, what happens is you begin to show up on searches, either organically or in the try pack. And so what people are seeing is this low, GMB. And so this your GMB has more to do with SEO than it does anything else. And so as your SEO gets better, you're showing up more and more in searches because you're going up the ladder, right? And so at some point in time, what you're hoping is that you're going to be getting a fair amount of direct phone calls directly from your GMB, which there's people that are going to hit this button right here. Those are good sources of leads because they've seen your GMB listing and they've clicked call. And so that's a good thing. And so, with your SEO, as that continues to improve, you should be getting more and more leads from your Google My Business listing as people engage with you by calling you. A lot of what we do and we track on a monthly basis with our customers is how many leads we're getting you, whether it's from SEO work, whether it's from your GMB, whether it's pay-per-click or local service ads. We look at all of those different buckets because they're all different. They're all leads that come from different places. And so this is just another place that you could get direct leads, but this is more of a function of your ranking and how well you're ranking than it is anything else. The other thing we talked about as far as local service ads has nothing to do with ranking. So if your business is not ranking well, I know Colin, you and I have talked recently about, you're struggling from a SEO perspective. This is a good option for you only because this is non-dependent on SEO, right? It just has to do with, hey, I'm this category. They find you, they click, they come, they don't go through your website, they go directly to you. With your Google My Business listing, this is more a function of SEO. As your SEO improves with keywords and people are finding you, you're going to see this volume goes up. And so those are some of the things that we track when we work with customers, is the source of all of your leads. And then we come up with a cost per lead, and we also come up with a return on investment. But good question. Any other question, Jamal?
Yeah, just one more. I remember you mentioned the lead quality of local service ads. It's much better. So how does the cost and lead quality compare to that of paid ads?
So again, with paid ads, especially if you've got a website that's not performing that well, Google, when it comes to converting or charging you for your leads for Google Ads, one of the things they look at is the quality score of your landing page or your website. So if your quality score is lower, you're actually paying higher for your clicks and your leads, which makes it even that much more. And so, with this, it's not dependent again upon your website. It's a specific number that you're basically paying for a budget number, and that's based upon the category. And so again, if your website is not performing well, if it would rank low from a quality score, that means that you'd pay more per click for something. That's going to increase your pricing, not only per click, but per lead. This ends up being a much better option for you.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And easy acts in the chat, does LSA, local service ads, track if someone clicks on your website?
No. So what we talked about before, so when someone clicks on your website, there are, with Google Analytics, you can find out how many people came to your website, what your bounce rate was. So if someone comes to your website and doesn't engage and just takes off, that's called a bounce rate, right? And so Google Analytics will keep track of, what percentage of the people coming to your website are bouncing off of, and that's an important thing to look at because that will tell you how good your web pages are, how engaging they are. And so, for this local service ad, it has nothing to do with tracking people who come to your website. There is some things that we can do from a marketing standpoint, such as putting some what they call pixels on your website that track those who come to your website that don't engage. And what we do is we do retargeting for those. And so if you've ever done a search for a product or a service, you didn't engage, and then while you're cruising around the internet, you keep seeing those ads for that same company pop up wherever you're going. You're going, geez, there's that company again. That's called retargeting. And that's part of the strategy that we employ for a lot of our customers is to go ahead and remarket to those people that went to your website that didn't engage. Because, the data will show that people need to see you 7 to 10 times before they really engage with you. And so what we do is you put in place a retargeting campaign that, again, puts your name and your information in front of those guys on a routinely basis and basically follows them around the internet because they've come to your website and didn't engage. And that's called retargeting. We would suggest if you've got the budget to be able to do that, it's part of your strategy. And that's something that's been, found to be fairly successful. Well, hey,
I
listen,
think that's it.
thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you guys being here. I know it was a lot of information. Hopefully it was helpful for you. Again, we'll go ahead and send you the recap here. So if you want to listen to this again at another time, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you want to send it to somebody, you can do that as well. We're going to be doing these every month, a different subject. First one was on, creating a marketing plan for 2025. This one was on local service ads. We'll be publishing what the next one will be in the next week or so. And so we appreciate you being a part of this. We look forward to hearing from you. If you got any feedback, we'd love to hear it. And hey, have a great weekend and a great end of your Friday. Appreciate it.